Hey guys, just a quick note. I just finished recording a video with Calvin Awesome, and during our conversation, we got this raid economy update post from Capital Gains. I'm not going to go into it and read it right now, but I just want to give a note that my conversation with Calvin happened before we had any awareness of it. I still think it has value talking about the Krayt-Gate, as I'm calling it, but the rewards fiasco with the Krayt Dragon rollout. So just take it for what it's worth and know that this conversation precedes this post and we didn't have knowledge of this. Anyway, let's get into the video. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another collaboration with Mr. Calvin Awesome. Thanks for joining, Calvin. We're going to be talking about the Krayt Raid, and I'm going to be calling this Krayt-Gate because of the rewards scandal that's going on right now. A lot of strife in the community. Calvin, what's your take on all this?
So I'm not sure what they were thinking over there, but it really seems like they were trying to ship this in a way that the end game player who has like all the toys and like a 10 million account would actually just break even between the old set and the new set. And they completely forgot about the 98 or whatever percent of the player base who's below that and is going to either just be taking a general hit as far as rewards go, or even having a huge hit when you look at the guild currency that's needed to get specific characters that are only available through there, like Logray or Dengar. So yeah, it's not really that close to me because my account's higher, but I can understand how this would be very frustrating for an earlier mid-game player.
Yeah. Personally, I mean, I'm in the same boat. This actually doesn't really affect me negatively at all, aside from it taking more time to like do the raid, which I kind of enjoy. But the biggest thing that gets me is the difference, the trifling difference between Sith Raid rewards and Krayt Raid rewards. You're gonna get like everyone's been talking about the break-even point, the 130 million Krayt, and then you get a few million personal. But then all you have to do for Sith Raid is have one person go in for 15 minutes, kill it, or I don't know how it actually works since it's like multi-phases now. But it just takes so much less effort, and then you just come out ahead. Like plenty of people that did Krayt Raid first go, they got shafted because they're just gonna switch to H Sith after that and never look back, at least for a few months or a year.
Yeah, I don't know where exactly their disconnect was, but it almost seems like they forgot that there were, 4 years or so between these two raids, and to make up for that difference in gear or credits even, I don't know what exactly their disconnect is. And I think it really is them just trying to make sure that they don't overload us with resources. And it really is biting the guy in the middle.
Yeah, it's like all these other raid rewards that piled up over time. It was just incremental. So like separately, it's that you look at all of it and you're like, oh, that's reasonable. Like from their standpoint, like, oh, we can give that away. We can do that. We can do that. But then when they were tasked with like combining it all into one, it seems like they had the feeling like, oh, that's too much. We can't give away that much. This is too easy for people. And then they just completely lost sight of it. But I don't know why they needed to scrap the old system. Like, just keep simming everything else. Like, add a sim to Sith Raid, which I was actually kind of apprehensive about for a while. I was one of the people hoping they never did because I liked hitting it and getting top 10 all the time and getting this fully crafted gear pieces. But they should have just kept doing that. I don't know why they had to reinvent the wheel and just completely destroy the vehicle.
Okay with them reinventing the wheel just a little bit to have it be a lot more streamlined. I would have settled for kind of maybe a middle ground where everything would have been, they would only have one active raid at a time. It's either simmable or it's the one active raid. So let's say, a year from now we get the Xylo Beast, and then the Krayt would immediately become simmable the second the Xylo Beast came out, assuming you hit all the requirements, similar to how the other sims were. But I did not like having to constantly go in and click join. If they could just had one seamless join button, or even like make it automatic if you're in the guild. Because the old system, while it was much better from a reward standpoint, it was kind of a pain in the butt. Like, I don't know about you, but I missed, I think, 2 like joins just because like I got a notification, I went in there, hit the one, didn't scroll to the other side, hit the other. So it's Yeah, I wanted a little bit of a change, but again, the reward structure was not exactly where I wanted it.
Yeah, I know what you mean with all the joining. It got annoying. Getting that inbox notification. I wish they just had a join button right there from the inbox. That was like this.
Or just make it automatic. Like, how much in-game time did they actually get from you clicking 2 buttons?
Yeah, seriously. I remember back in the day, I didn't even want them to sim the tank raid. I mean, that was a long time ago, but I like hit that every time, and I just like blitzed it, and I just, even though it was crappy gear, I just wanted the extra guild tokens. But yeah, those guild tokens.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
I like the simming. No, I just like the simming a lot because typically, from how I view rewards, is this is more of like a PvP standpoint. So if you're more PvE, this is probably going to sound super unappealing. But my goal isn't to get good rewards. My goal is to get rewards better than you do, or not just like you specifically, but anyone out there like that I'm competing against, and a effort to build my roster. So like that's why I was even fine if they were gonna do the heroic Sith raid. I hit it as often as I could. I loved getting a fully furnished where it was like the complete gear.
Yeah.
But I would have happily settled for 11th place every single time if I knew everyone else was getting that too. Like that would have been fine. Like I'm not missing out at that point.
What do you mean? So like if the whole guild got it, you'd take 11th?
If the general understanding was that the whole game was getting it. Like that everybody was gonna put heroic raid on sim to be able to do Krayt, and that was gonna guarantee a lesser reward than say top 10. Because there was a huge variance between top 10 and heroic Sith.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I see what you're saying. You wouldn't care about a sim because then it would level the playing field. You wouldn't have to worry about
pretty much, yeah.
Ahead. Yeah, okay. Yeah, that's like the reason I didn't want sims, so I could like get above. With Sith, I thought that Sith raid was in a great spot because you had 10 spots that got the double crates, like that red and the yellow, or like the red and the purple. And then for the pit raid, or OG pit raid and OG tank raid, it was only top 3 got the double crates. And I like coveted the pit raid double crate for so long. I was like, and we'd always sim it whenever I got to a get go, and I was like, just let me hit it. I really just want those 2 crates with Carbontes or whatever. But yeah, for the Sith raid, when they were talking about simming it and they promised they'd sim it, I was worried because the sim rewards for all raids had historically been rank 11 through 15 rewards, and then for Sith raid it's just crap. So you go from like 10 people getting good rewards and 40 getting crappy to everyone getting crap. But I don't know. I still think it's a huge debacle with this because, like we already said, the guild tokens for the newer characters, arrow magnifiers, credits. There's something else. The fully crafted Gear 12 pieces. So those are the big 4 for me. Those are like, if they fixed that somewhat, and the fully crafted, I mean, it's somewhat mitigated by you get to choose your rewards. But those other 3, I think they just need to add those to the track, like add some arrow magnifiers, at least.
Well, and the issue with letting you get to choose your own, I completely understand how it's valuable to be able to pick what gear you want rather than getting stuck with whatever they give you. The issue is, though, the older 3 raids are really... No, I'd say the other 3 raids, like the first original 3, they had gotten significantly past the point where that mattered anymore. You had the amount of rewards that we had gotten from those 3 over, 5 years or whatever it is since they've all been in game. It's evened out. Like we've gotten a ton of stun guns or cuffs or gold furnacers or whatever. And it's covered our butts in some crunches we didn't know existed. Like you mentioned, like you liked hitting the tank raid. So before the tank raid became simmable, I never once even remotely worried about the purple binoculars. I don't know if you know the ones I'm talking about.
Yeah,
because they would
constantly
constantly drop. That sounds right, yeah. And not as soon, but probably a few months, maybe 6 months after Tank Raid went to simmable and we weren't getting very large quantities anymore, that was now something I just start buying out of another area. So that's kind of my issue with using the you get to choose what you want as a compensation for having a lesser total, is it's eventually just going to cause other issues.
Yeah, I see what you mean. Like, if people, are to look at a gear piece, especially after relics came out, if they're to look at a gear piece and say, "Oh, I have so much of this, I'm never gonna need it," and then they like salvage it all, and then they come back later, they actually need that now because they don't have the same source like the tank raid, like some of that useless stuff. But yeah, I think the ones you were talking about, the binoculars, it's like the hollow version of it. That always used to seem like pretty scarce because you got like the normal picture and then the photo negative version of it. You know, like the two sides. So yeah, I remember those. The ones that like I truly think you'd never need are like the Mark 10 binoculars and like Mark 9 binoculars. There's a ton of those things that just are truly never gonna get any use out of, and they're worth crap for relic scraps anyway. So, yeah. You can't see this because I'm not screen sharing with Calvin actually, but I just ran my last possible run in the Krayt Raid for this round. It was 3 level 53 gear, 7 Jawas, and I got 2,140. So I'm really helping out my guild get over the hump there.
Very nice.
So how are you actually performing in the raid? Like, how many teams do you have that you're hitting it with?
I'll have to open up right now to double check, but I have about 3 real teams that matter, and I should probably be doing a video on them recently because I haven't seen a lot of talk about one of them. My overall average score, and I do want to bring this up because I think it's going to have very tangible. I need to do the math, but I think it's going to have very tangible rewards for me. But I'm currently only sitting at like, what is that, 3,600,000 damage. But I don't have a single R7 squad, so my caps are all very low. In fact, I only have one R5 full squad. So I'm just trying to hit everything with the budget. Like my Maldos are capped at R3. My Bounty Hunter squad is capped at R3. And then pretty much everything else is gear 12 other than my actual Java team. So I'm actually enjoying the raid as far as the mechanical thing works. I think it's really... I really love, I guess, be a little bit positive. I love them, limiting it to 5 factions, and then giving each one of those factions like specific puzzles almost of things you have to figure out with like you taking in like one hut cartel to make sure that you can always blow something up so that you get cleansed, or the Jawas already cleansed themselves so that automatically solves that piece of the puzzle, or the Mandalorians being, I think they're immune to poison or whatever it is. So there's lots of really cool things out there from a mechanical perspective. I would love to get one of these, every year where we just build up 5 factions, even if I don't have them. Like I don't have Tuscans, I don't have Jawas, I don't have Old Republic. But even have to build them up, I love playing it. It's very fun. Yeah,
I agree. It's pretty fun. And yeah, I do enjoy the faction modifiers, but like some of them, like there's clearly better ones than others, and I'd rank them Hut Cartel the best. Tuscans maybe the second best.
Faction bonuses.
Huh?
Factions or faction bonuses?
Faction bonuses. But for Hut Cartel, best team, just faction in general. Anyway, that's the easiest one, as long as you have Java. Mandalorians, I hate it. I hate their modifier. I mean, I like that they're immune to poison, but it just nerfs their damage. It just like reduced their damage by 50%. Like,
it was very clear that they were overperforming in testing. Like that's the clear message that I got. Well, I mean, why else? I think they're like one of the only ones who have a negative modifier, right? Yeah.
I don't think any of the other ones do.
To me, that sounds like that they were overperforming in testing to the point where they were probably...
It's possible.
They might not have been beating Hut Cartel, but they might have been getting close enough to the fact that people were worried that, people wouldn't feel super valued for going after the Galactic Legend.
Yeah, that's a fair point. That's very possible. That's like one of the only factions that I have like ready to go, like in a great position relic-wise, but I can't figure out a good enough run to want to make a video of it. I might eventually if we never get like 12 or 1.2 million runs without BAM is the thing, because like BAM right now you can run him with his own crappy bounty hunter squad and get the max, but like just trying to figure out Maul without BAM is very difficult, at least for like R5s. And even though I have an R8 Maul I can like get to 1 million, but I can't after that. And one thing I found out that I haven't heard many people talk about. So you know how when you do his AoE and you kill someone, you get to your 5 stacks of anguish?
Yep.
Yeah, so like the bombs, if you kill one, it doesn't count. But if you kill all 3 at once, I think they count as a single entity. So if you blow up all the bombs with this AoE, he gets the 5 stacks of anguish. And I've been able to use that to like get further, but I still can't perfect the run at all, and I don't know when I will. Even Skeltrix had a lot of trouble. Maul, Django, Armor, Bo-Katan, and Canderous.
Say I'm pretty easily hitting their level 3 max because my Canderous is R3. I'm not using that exact comp. I'm not using Django. I'm curious who I'm using now actually.
Yeah, I haven't tried level 3.
Better. I figured that Armor would be the sleeper for that one actually with their Armor Shred.
Yeah, Armor Shred never seems to like be that impactful whenever I have it done on anything, honestly.
Oh, yeah, I know who it is. It's Bam.
Yeah, Bam. Yeah, Bam makes it so easy. I'm just trying to figure it out without him.
Well, he's been on the 5th of the team because I don't have the rest of them built up to use the. Is it still considered Bam cheese, or have we accepted it as a real strategy now?
I don't know. I mean, they haven't come out again and like straight up nerfed all the TM gain, but he's the one hero unit, so he's doing a lot of extra little things. I hope they don't touch that because that makes it really easy for me. I still don't have Tuskens yet. Once I get Tuskens, that would be like my 5th squad. Right now, my 5th squad is Karth at gear 12 with like Mob Enforcer bringing up the rear. But yeah, like Hut Cartel is easy. Old Republic, once you figure it out, it's kind of easy with the Jedi. Jawas suck. I don't think they have great potential. Tuskens, I don't know too much about them because I still have just a bunch of weak Tuskens, but they seem better. I like their bonus. The
Tuskens, for what I can tell, are pretty pitiful actually up until you get to R7 because there's very few actually, like this is not consistent at all, but there are some modifiers for the factions that will kick in at a certain difficulty level. So I think it's when you have them R7, whenever an enemy is inflicted with a stack of damage over time, which happens constantly, this character gains 1 stack momentum. Whenever this character gains a stack, they gain 2% max health and max protection stacking and 5% turn meter. So apparently that juices them to the point where your Tuskens, like for example, some of the Tusken teams at R5 aren't able to hit 1 million. If they go into the harder one, they're actually scoring higher. So they're an expensive team because R7 Tuskens, that's just super expensive. But apparently they yield results at that point.
Yeah, so what is it that kicks in at R7? I was just trying to find all these details. I'm just
so you have to go under the difficulty modifiers to find it, and then scroll down to whatever one is for R7. And Mandalorians actually get a boost too. They get 20% increased damage, and then they have a reduced 30% damage, but it kicks in there. Yeah, I think it's probably the turn meter and the momentum that's doing it.
Yeah, I was looking right at it and I like couldn't see it. I don't have my glasses on, so when I recorded, so I like missed it. But yeah, I can see that like breaking a threshold, so you really take off.
Well, the secret to BAM is the turn meter gain. I could definitely see that being a thing for them.
Yeah, that's huge. So what did your guild end up getting, finishing with?
Last time around, we got enough to be able to get MK3. I'm not exactly sure where that was for. Let's see, rewards, guild rewards. I think it says in here, doesn't it? No, it only says for. Oh, it does. Yeah, we got the 130 million.
Yeah, yeah, same here. What's your guild's name?
Death Star Port Designers.
Death Star.
Or we just say port typically.
Okay, I'm looking for you on the leaderboard.
I think we were like 69 or something like that. Nice.
Okay. Okay, 63. Yeah, 63, your guild got like 5 million more than my guild. And how big is your guild?
We're pretty big. I think we're 500,000 now.
Oh, okay.
GP wise.
We're like 460. We only got to 130 because of the bug that lets you like some people's rosters refreshed, so they got to go hit it again with Java.
They got to double it.
Yeah, but it's like I was actually advocating that we do Sith for a while because until we hit that, but we got it because of cheese. Like it was illegitimate. Like just get a double hit. Yeah, that's like not fair. But if we didn't get that, like yeah, it's just so much time and effort just to get the like same rewards or worse. I mean, I'd already gotten a few Mark III just because of the personal reward track. I got like 5.4 million that one. But like it's just not worth the time. And even though like I could make videos on it, I was like I don't want to deal with this for these rewards. But yeah, I don't know. I was more positive about the rewards until I actually looked at Sith Raid rewards, and then I was like, you gotta be kidding me, man.
Yeah, it seems like there was a gap where, and again, this really delves into like a lack of raids that we've gotten over the years, or even like the mess that C-Pit was, where it created this vacuum for rewards, and they did a really good job at putting them in other places in the game. Like you look at GAC now has really good rewards. TW even has really good rewards. The new TB is actually pretty well rewarded. They did a really good job with that, with not completely killing everyone's get 1 and get 2 habits. Yeah. Like they've done.
Oh yeah, they did fantastic with that.
Else. And then I don't know if it's because we're towards the end of a quarter and they don't want people to have a bunch of stuff propped to be able to get a Galactic Legend layer or what it is, but yeah, they definitely pulled back. At least for, again, people who aren't getting the 130 million, which that's the huge disconnect, right? Like, for one guild to beat C-Pit, I mean, there were guilds that are around the 220,000 mark, and I mean, you have to be twice that to be able to get the 130 box now.
Yeah. Well, a little more than twice, 220,000. That's impressive.
Yeah,
sorry.
Anyone who's from my channel will know that I consistently mix up 1,000 and million, and I'm gonna blame it on the fact that in Portuguese they look really similar.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah, there's interesting stuff like that with different countries. Like the British million used to actually be a billion, and then they caved. They used to call our million a billion, but then they caved and switched it because I guess U.S. dominated them on that.
My favorite was someone comment on my videos and they're like, how in the world do you have 27 million crystals? Because the sign for 1,000 in Portuguese is an M, not a K. So it looks like million, but really it's just 1,000.
Yeah, that's funny. Yeah. Just a couple more things I wanted to talk about. So how many arrow magnifiers do you have? What's your nest egg looking like?
Oh my gosh. It's stupid high. I think I'm about, let me double check, but I think I'm near 1,000. Just because I don't, 983 arrow magnifiers, because my whole, how many are you at?
924, but I don't know, maybe
pretty close,
I have more R8s than you.
You probably do, because my whole goal with my roster for probably the last 3 or 4 months is just trying to R5 pretty much every relevant character out there, and that takes a lot of seconds, So I would much rather have, all the overpowered Datacrons as soon as they come out than, have, like I got a comment recently about only having an R5 Chrysanthemum, like, which that'll probably change now specifically because of the raid.
Oh
but,
wow, pathetic! How could you?
Like everybody's counter that I'm going against, they're prepared to beat like at least R7 Chrysanthemum, if not R9. Like I would much rather have. I'm trying to think of who I did. Oh, I would much rather have. This is a bad example because this is also R7. Oh, but I would much rather have B2 at R5 so that I could use a really good droid Datacron with Grievous. Like that's more important. I mean, they both cost me.
Yeah,
I have a lot less
I agree. Yeah, that was like a really early project for me. When Datacrons came out, it was just like Datacron proof. It's like getting your roster up to code, basically. It's like just bare minimum. It's just funny after 4. It's like R5, everything R5. Now I'm getting more R7s, but yeah, it's like kind of a struggle. But yeah,
I'm not sure, what point you'll catch up, but it's going well.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember listening to like one of the Gambit podcasts a while ago. You were talking about having a Gear 12 Treya, so I noticed that is no longer the case. So that is great. It was a while ago. It might have been last year sometime.
I had a lot of Gear 12 characters that really should have been relics. Treya was one of them. A lot of my bounty hunters, like Grief and Mando, they were consistently a Gear 12. B2 is another one. I just had a lot left over, and it was a pain in the butt getting them all up, especially while trying to farm Jabba at the same time.
One thing I applaud you on, you have a Gear 8 Boba Fett Sign of Django, and I wish I did. So I have an R5, and he's useless to me.
I've slightly there's been one or two battles. I don't know if it would have turned it into win, but for 3v3, him, Bosk, and Mando really they beat the tar out of that SWGOH mallet comp. Although my Hondo, I found out today, also just demolishes that, so that's kind of fun.
Oh,
but
nice.
he's redeemed himself a little bit through for 3v3. But yeah, 5v5s, my gosh, the dude, he's bad. He's really bad.
Yeah, it's like. I'm like, okay, he can avoid taunts, he can get a couple of hits for contract, but I mean, what else are you doing?
Well, anything, and I've gotten on this rant several times, so hopefully I won't spend too long, and we'll get some fun comments for this one, but like anything Boba Fett Sign of Django can do in 5v5, Dengar can do. Like that's he's just not good. 3v3 TW, very redeemable, very good character in both those game modes. Ultimately like god tier in territory wars, but 5v5 JC, he is so bad.
Yeah, I mean Dengar's good, man. It's stiff competition. He calls people to his system as basic sometimes, and hits people multiple times sometimes.
Yeah,
that's funny. That's a great comparison.
All right. I mean, I do like Dengar, but he's not a conquest character.
Yeah. Dengar. I remember back in the day, I loved using Dengar. He's great under Bosk. Back when I had like all Gear 11 characters. Well, okay. I think we're running over 26 minutes, so let's wrap it up here. Calvin, thanks for coming on and talking Krayt Raid with me. I've really been wanting to just talk to someone on a video about it. I don't know if like. I'm like, we weren't completely raging at all. People probably think we're too tame on it, but a lot of problems with the rewards. I do kind of enjoy the raid, but it's definitely freezing out a lot of newer players. So any concluding thoughts from you?
Yeah, I mean, if we wanted to sum it up, I would say that I love the raid for what it is as far as mechanics go, for what it was meant to be, and replacing a lot of the really old stale content. But I hope CG does do something for that mid-tier, and I think it might just honestly be as simple as shoving credits and the tokens back into a lot of the rewards, like just giving that back to make sure that A, the rewards are somewhat compensated, and B, they don't get completely screwed on getting Dengar.
I agree. I think they just absolutely need to shove credits into the reward tracks. Arrow magnifiers too, because those are they were a gimme before. And then either add the guild tokens or make those characters available for like the tier 1 new token, something like that.
Oh at like a really cheap price, by the way, or like give 70 shards out at once, like they're doing for stun guns. It's so funny buying that.
Oh, speaking of which, one thing that is a positive development on that front with characters is the legacy raid reward characters. Han, GK, and Treya, you can blitz them if you want for a new character.
You can get them super quick. Yeah,
you guys are so fast. You could be like level. I don't know what level, but like before level 85, I bet you could get them all. Like if you really wanted to, or close at least.
I haven't done the math
maybe not that.
Like
maybe 2 out of 3, but
I don't know what Hat's giving out for example, to do the math. But I mean, just from a time perspective, it refreshes 4 times a day. And I mean, trying to do really quick math.
Let me check
on the shards. Yeah, you can do that. You can do that in 8 days.
8 days.
If you have the currency.
Yeah, hat rewards. Top reward 6205. Yeah, if you just focus that and say forget about gear, that's insane.
Well, and there's some times where you definitely should do that. Like, Treya is such a premium character nowadays.
Yeah.
And not to, like, bash on Han and GK. They're both really good, but I've done a video about it, but like Trey's like the #1 team that doesn't require Kyra before Gear 12. Like it's such a good team.
Yeah, it is good. For like brand new players, I still would think she should go last just because like Sion and Nihilus are kind of tough farms that come later.
Hard knows, yeah.
But yeah, Han and GK too, like they're also good. But yeah, you could that's a positive. You can blitz these guys and that's gonna make a huge difference. Whereas before it'd take, so if you did a pit raid every 2 days, it's 330 times 2. That's what am I talking about? My math. 33 times times 2, like almost 3 months, or just over 2 months. But yeah, you can get it really fast. Okay. Well, that is actually, we are getting pretty late on time, but I do appreciate it, you coming out, Calvin. We'll have to do something else on your channel later. But yeah, thanks, man.
Yep, thanks for having me.
All right, thanks, everybody. See you later.